Okay, this is part two to the response. And like I've said before, referring to that porn video, um, I used to be a manager and security guard at an adult novelty shop a few years ago, 10 years ago. And there were some interesting videos that showed a man that had a womb. And, women were, had dildos or whatever, and they were going up in him. Now, clearly, he had a very masculine disposition, and if you didn't see this womb, you would think he would just be like any other man. However, he had a womb, a yoni, or for those of you out there that are not familiar with those terms, he had a pussy. Okay, so those are a couple of examples, and basically shows that even though men have the XY chromosome, I guess you could say if certain chemical processes go on or don't go on when we're being either formed in the womb, well, while we're developing, especially inside the womb, these things can manifest. So this further shows me that at one point we came from an entity or entities that were androgynous or contained both sexual organs, so to speak. And like I was saying before, or mentioned briefly, um, a lot of people, well, I was talking about the circumcision, and a lot of people feel, have their feelings or other information dealing with circumcision. Okay, however, I do know, and I have talked to some brothers, African brothers, as well as brothers from Polynesia, well, and women from Polynesia, that told me that a very, very, very long time ago, depending on how long that time was, there was a time where a male had to be circumcised. His phallus, or representation in male terms, his phallus, which is also likened to the woman's clitoris, had to be shaved back at a certain point of time. If not, that man may develop a wound, so to speak. Okay, so, and also in the video that I'm posting this response for, Brother Alim went into the correlation, or the matching of the organ, so to speak. So I really don't have to go into that now. Now, the question that was posed by the viewer was, should we bow down, or should a woman lead the household, or should the woman, should she be exalted higher than us, things of that sort. um, I will respond to that basically dealing with the science of of a relationship. The relationship between a man and a woman is supposed to represent the androgyny of those two being together, a symbolic androgyny. All right, and another example of how this is looked upon too is dealing with the science and knowledge of, well, science is knowledge, right? Of yin and yang. It clearly states in Taoist metaphysical study that because they're interchangeable, even though they seem separate, they're one and the same. And at any time, one can transform into the other, and the other can transform into the other to maintain balance. And why I'm saying that is for this. Okay, there's clearly individuals that feel that a woman's only role is to nurture children, give birth to children, teach the children, and remain at home. And the male should do all the hunting, all of this, all the hard work, all the managing, or the hard stuff, so to speak. And it's interesting because this particular mindset is ingrained in all of us, whether we realize it or not, even those of us who are more conscious of what's going on. Now, I've done tons and tons and tons of research, and I don't speak on nothing I don't know about. And the research shows me that women also hunted too, and that the fathers were very integral also in raising the children. And what I mean by this, there's a book called The Great Cosmic Mother, and in one chapter in the book, it clearly states that men hunted, women hunted. See, here's the thing: See, a lot of men, since they were bigger and stronger than most of the women that may be in a community or a tribe, they would do the big game hunting. Go out for the buffalo, the bison, the you know the big mammals. Women did the small game hunting. And what I mean by small game hunting, we're talking about rabbits, pheasants, possums, squirrels, things of that sort. And women also did gardening, or first remnants of gardening, especially dealing with herbal cultivation. My my uncles, as well as some other men I know, when I was younger, they used to tell me about how they were eating or ate squirrels, right? And it's interesting because they all told me, and these brothers were not related to each other. They all told me that who taught them how to hunt, get the squirrel, and eat it were women, older women. My grandmother also told me about that. All right. So while men were doing the big game hunting, women did the small game hunting. Okay, that can also refer to frogs. Women also fished. So I stated that to basically bring forth the point, basically saying that I don't accept that so-called gender role in the respect that men are supposed to do all the so-called heavy work and women ain't supposed to do shit. Our society is based upon that false ass principle. Now look where it's getting us. We are fighting against each other. I feel if she's interested in cars, she want to learn how to fix cars, she should. That doesn't mean that it's going to make her less feminine. I mean, then there are some women that have more masculine dispositions that don't even do work of that sort. Okay, so that gender role or gender assignment stuff, I've never agreed with it because I was raised in a single parent home. The male figures that were around me were my oldest brother, and then I would see my uncles and other men in the family from time to time. My mother was the first one to show me how to fight. My mother was the first one not only to show me how to do so-called rough things, she also taught me how to do nurturing things. My mother taught me how to cook for myself because she taught me at one time, you may get a woman or be with a woman that doesn't know how to cook, how you gonna eat? Okay, she also taught me other skills, how to patch up a hole, all of these different things. So clearly, if woman was only supposed to be, you can't be what you're not, so to speak. Basically, when we're born, we're potential. We could potentially become and manifest ourselves as we are. You can't do what you're not wired or programmed to do, so to speak. So, in so many words, like I'm saying, if you are a worm can't do human things. So if a woman couldn't do the so-called strong things or the things that we label as masculine, she wouldn't be able to do it. There are groups in this war that we're having right now in the world. There are groups of assassins of women that are straight taking dudes out. So I don't accept that. I've never have. I mean, I know some will frown upon that. Tough. Okay, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it, just like I am. I've seen too many examples of women being not only in the nurturing role, but also in the role of protection, showing protection. When you look at the ancient history of Japan, when the samurai were away fighting, the women were expert martial artists also, and there would be bands of rebels or men who would try to attack their homes or who would attempt to attack their homes, and these women would defend their homes, and the weapon of choice was the naginata, which in so many words I guess you could say like the Japanese form of a spear and a halberd, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And even in Japanese schools right now, one of their curriculums in their schools for teenage women, like you could say middle school to teenage women, they are taught how to use this weapon. It's like their PE class. We play basketball over here, whereas in their PE classes they're learning kendo, which is swordsmanship, and how to fight with the naginata, and then you're learning karate and aikido and all of these different things, both the men and the women. I'll continue in the next video. Hotep.